Welcome to the Real Ref Report, a fun approach to improving officiating.
You suck, ref!
Keeping it real with real perspectives, educating the wrestling community, and building better relationships between officials, coaches, and wrestlers. Together, let's make reffing great again. Now, here's your host, Andy Eichley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Real Ref Report. This is episode 4, and I got a great guest today who you are going to love. I'm excited about it. Just got done with the second district tournament that I did this weekend, and got to do 2 because we had snow the week before, so it got rescheduled. So that'll be fun to talk about. Just to introduce myself again, my name's Andy Eichley. I'm an official, a husband, father of 2 boys, and a 6th grade math teacher. And I'm doing this podcast because I love to be an official, and I want officials to be better. I coached for 15 years, wrestled my whole life growing up, and just been watching officials. And now that I've become one, I want to encourage everybody to get better. We want to improve it, get more people interested in officiating. We definitely have an official shortage right now, and we need more people to come and do it with us because it is a blast for me, and hopefully you can come do it with us and have fun doing it. We want to also educate the wrestling community, coaches, wrestlers, and officials, just so we can all learn stuff, how to interact with each other and build better relationships between officials, coaches, and wrestlers. And just, this is not an official bashing podcast. We are going to talk about bad calls. We are going to talk, but at the same time, these are tough calls to make. And we want to learn from it and get better. And just use it just to make all of the relationships better. So I have been a wrestler. I am an official. And again, we don't want to bash officials, but we are going to talk about certain calls. Check out the Washington Wrestling Network. They got new rankings they updated all the time for Washington. And it's a great website. So check it out on there. They also got Discord going. You can find me at the Real Ref Report at gmail.com or on Instagram at the Real Ref Report. So I want to introduce my guest today. He is a great guy, great coach, and he coaches at Lake Stevens High School. He's been there for 35 years, since 1990. He does not look that old, but he is. And he has 10 team state titles, 28 individual state champions, winning 44 titles and 41 finalists. He has 220 state placers, 29 league titles. He's assistant coach of the year, all kind of accolades. My friend, my guest today, Andy Knutson. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Well, thank you. I should have you introduce me every day at work, but I covered the first period.
Ding, ding, ding. Here comes Andy.
Now, to be clear, my wrestling career ended a long time ago in 1989. So mostly all those numbers you said were all those kids on our teams winning those titles. Yeah. And I haven't won very much. My career ended at regionals with a loss to Ontran from Bainbridge Island. So,
well, you got 2 really awesome cauliflower ears out of it. So you look tougher than you are, I guess.
Maybe so. Yeah. Lucky me.
Well,
yeah. I saw that you were again voted referee of the year for the second year in a row this weekend. So that has to be cool. That's a fantastic thing. I love it.
It was pretty cool. So I've switched associations just to get out of your district because, reffing where I used to coach and where my kids go was kind of a problem. So I switched associations, won it last year, and then again this year in a new one. So yeah, it was pretty fun. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we were acting like you were still at our association, so we had you nominated for Ref of the Year at our association too. So that was fun to hear that you won the other one as well. You were nominated in both spots.
Cool, that's awesome. All right,
it was really fun.
People that know you or people that aren't from Washington should know that Lake Stevens is one of those programs that is winning so much. They've actually won 11 state titles. You weren't there for the first one, is that right?
Yeah, I was just out of high school.
Okay. So, everybody hates Lake Stevens. It's been I was a Lake Stevens hater. I was growing up. We all hated Lake Stevens. I just want to let everybody know how I ended up there because I coached with you guys for 10 years, coached at the middle school, and I still teach at Lake Stevens Middle School. And I used to do, before I became a teacher, back in 2012, I was doing foster care with some kids in Arizona. And I brought 10 kids up from Arizona who'd never seen a lake, never been out of Arizona. And a friend of mine took us out to his parents' house on the lake day for the kids. And who shows up with their boat and your wife, who is a champion skier herself, and to take our foster kids out on a day on the lake. And it's Andy Knutson from Lake Stevens. And I'm like, man, I hate these guys, but he's taking all my foster kids out on the lake. And you asked me, hey, you want to come coach with us next year? And I was like, no, I don't, because I hate Lake Stevens. You guys are cheaters, all the things, right? And so I thought about it for a couple months and when I came back to Washington, I was like, you know what? There's no other coaches that are giving my foster kids a day on the lake. And so I called up. I was like, hey, I'm back in town. You guys need anything? And he's like, you can come volunteer. So just so you guys all know, I ended up there, and this is the coolest group of guys I've ever been around. So thank you, Andy, for what you did. And any haters out there, he's actually a pretty cool dude. So but I've heard you be called the mayor of Niceville, and I'm glad that you're wearing your sunglasses today on your head, because that's kind of a staple for you.
Oh yeah, no one would know who I was maybe if I didn't wear my glasses. Yeah, I do wear them at home too,
just in case the sun comes out, huh?
Never know.
All right. Well, I got to ask you first before we talk about any reffing stuff. You're an assistant coach there, so people are like, "Oh, he's just an assistant," but people don't know the culture there. I didn't know it until I came there. I really miss it now that I'm not there. But you guys love each other. You've worked together for so many years. What makes you okay with being the assistant coach for 35 years? Because there are a ton of programs in this state that would say, please, Andy Knutson, come and coach our team and be the head coach. So what keeps you around as an assistant?
Yeah, I think I just love being a part of the process. I don't necessarily need to be in the spotlight. I don't need to be the guy getting interviewed and all that stuff. I mean, it's fun. Those things are cool. Those things are exciting and stuff. But you know what? The people that I've coached with, like Dean Witt and I have been coaching together since 94. And before that, I was on his team when I was a kid in elementary school, it must be middle school, excuse me. And I can never leave these people. I just love, I love working with these men, basically. And I was given so much freedom and responsibility by Brent Barnes, our longtime Hall of Fame coach. And he just said, hey, you're in charge of this and this and this. And he trusted me so much. I mean, it took a while, like for 10 years, a guy would come off the mat and I would coach him and Brent would go, what'd you say to him? And I said this. And for like 10 years, he corrected me, and then he stopped correcting me because I finally said what he wanted me to. So then for the next 20 or 15 years or whatever, he said he didn't bother me anymore about it. But, you know, just being trusted and just being allowed to thrive and to be given license to help kids and build things. I've had a great time. So I never wanted to be a head coach if I couldn't have those same people with me. So yeah. And we have our new coach too, our new head coach, Derek Lopez. I love working with him, and it's been even just another step forward for me, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, and you say that, and it reminds me, I did leave you guys for a year to go be a head coach, and learned real quick that if you're not around a team of people that you love to be around and that you work with, it is not exactly the most fun experience. And so it's having the team. You talk about Dean Witt and how everybody works together and has been together so long. It's just so important, and you don't see a lot of places that have that. I know some schools do, and they're successful, but it definitely takes a team, and just being the guy is not always the best option. So, question for you. Let's talk officials now. You guys have been sending. I mean, I'm an official now. I worked with you guys. You guys sent. You have another former wrestler who's an official who's doing a great job, Christian Anderson. You had another guy who was an official. Now he went back to coaching with you. So have you guys been, there's a shortage. How have you guys been trying to add referees to our list of guys?
We just really Well, we don't talk bad about officials. We talk well about officials. We don't see them as the enemy. We see them as part of the community of wrestling and super needed. And um, maybe we're a little cocky and we think that our kids are probably they're ready to be a good official. You got to be if you want to be a great official, it's probably pretty tough without being in a pretty good solid wrestling background. It's just probably a
Yeah.
little easier.
Yeah.
And so we really want to see great officials in our county and in our league and our conference, our district. So we've been trying to push people into this. And I think we've actually started this last couple of years doing our own little league, and we're having kids officiate every Saturday for about 15 Saturdays a year. We want a spring league and a fall league. So we're trying to create more and more officials. Hopefully we can have many more officials coming out of Lake Stevens in the next decade or so. We'd love to have that.
Yeah, that's great. I've been, just so everybody knows, you guys also have, you don't do like necessarily challenges, but you have an inter squad duel with a couple mats, and you've been inviting us as officials. And I brought a new guy this year to come and officiate your matches. And a lot of schools do challenge matches, and so thank you for having us there. It helps us get better. And just for all you coaches out there, or even referee associations, it's such a good idea to get the guys on the mat and ask coaches if they want us to come and referee their challenge matches to get some training, because that's a great way to start. It's a low pressure and coaches don't really want to do it. So everybody out there, if you want to get in contact with your referee associations and with the coaches, let's get in cahoots there and have each other ref, because that's a great way to get some training in. And Lake Stevens has been a pioneer in that for us. All right. What else? So I know you've been trying to build better relationships. You do that with me, you do that with other ref. And we got to talk about this real quick. Last year, you guys were giving out like a t-shirt and a mug and a gift card to referees, which I think is awesome. And ended up somebody reported you for bribery, trying to bribe officials. Which it's funny, but at the time it's like, really? And it went all the way to the WIAA, all the way to the top, and they finally said it's fine. Like, it happens all the time. They're just trying to be friendly. So tell me a little bit about that situation.
Well, we have had maybe a poor reputation over the last couple of decades, and it feels like there's this animosity toward our team a little bit. And it's probably, a lot of it's my fault. Like, I've been there for 30 years, and I was probably in my younger days like super intense and probably not very positive. And we are just trying to, I don't know, growing up, be a little smarter about things and trying to repair some of those relationships. And so we said, you know what, I went and bought a gift card. I know the officials always meet at this one restaurant, so I bought a gift card for that restaurant for like all of our home duels. And then I put that gift card in a mug that said Lake Wrestling. And then I give a t-shirt. I try to find out, hey, what size is this referee coming to is he a medium, a large? What is he? And I try to throw a t-shirt in there. And I wanted the name of our school to be synonymous with positive and encouraging and a gift. And I didn't want to be the bad guy anymore. And so we just tried to do that. And then when we got, I heard that we had gotten turned in for bribery. I was like, oh no, are you kidding me? It was crazy. Yeah. But the WOA, the Washington Officials Association, they said, no, you're not bribing anyone. They said it was actually less so than a lot of other people have gifts received. So we're just trying to keep it positive and build that community, really.
Yeah, it's crazy, but just glad that the WIA did the right thing there. And another one that happened was you guys play music, trying to make a fun atmosphere at your duels, which colleges are doing it now. They're doing lights. They're making it fun for the fans. You guys are getting students in there, maybe a couch next to the mat. And you guys got a complaint from some officials about that. So, and that ended up going pretty far up, didn't it?
Well, kids kind of quit coming to wrestling matches. We used to have the stands just packed like in the early 2000s. It was a lot of people. And for some reason, the last 10 years or so, it's just kind of dwindled into. So now I'm like an event coordinator last year I went so far as to have Taylor Swift night. Okay. And I cut out a Taylor Swift and I had all these signs, Taylor Swift night, Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Lake Stevens gym. And I had like I had a DJ that I hired. What's that?
Trading bracelets or something?
I had a DJ playing all Taylor Swift music. I had Taylor Swift trivia. I gave away a Travis Kelce jersey at halftime of the wrestling match. We brought down a sophomore, a junior to senior and asked these questions and stuff. But what we're trying to do is create this atmosphere where kids want to come and it's enjoyable for them. And we had a DJ playing pretty loud music, and it got to the point where the referee felt, I mean, they weren't in total control of the event, and they kind of got, I don't know, nervous. So it just kind of ruffled their feathers.
Didn't you get compliments from the opposing coaches too of how fun it was for even their teams?
Oh, sure. Like we had, I would have send a thing to the other team, like, here's your fill out your final sheet. But I do it for every kid. And I try to do an announcement on like, hey, this guy's ranked 13th and he went this tournament, and it's just some fun stuff. His spirit animal is a whatever, and just to make it more fun and enjoyable, and just to try to make it a little bit just entertaining for people to come and watch, and kids to get their name out there, just have a good time. And it was just so different maybe than other teams were doing. Then it just kind of made people uncomfortable. So I would go to other meets and it'd be like super quiet, lights on, kind of boring. And like, I don't want to be here. I want to be like in this fun atmosphere. So that it was a tough pill for some people to swallow.
Well, it's a little deflating too, to have such a great experience for everybody and then have the officials knock it down or complain about it. And so just for me, if you're an official out there, you go to a dual meet, let them have fun. Like, the colleges are doing it. They even have a halftime in college, and they're playing music and just making it fun for the fans. And we already need more fans as it is. So we don't want to make it no fun for everybody and complain about announcing or complain about music. So let's just make it fun, fan friendly, and we can all have fun together. But yeah, so keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully you don't get any more complaints. And I don't think it's a problem. There's nothing in the rule book that says you can't play music or have a little halftime and have Taylor Swift night. So keep it up, Lake Stevens.
We'll try. I've been watching like some Big Ten stuff lately, and I'm seeing guys with their hands. They're in the front row. This is fans with their hand like on the mat, like they're that close. And I'm like, how can we need to do this? We need to get row people right on the edge of the mat. It's going to be worse now. I get all these better ideas.
Yeah, I mean, real close. I think referees get mad at that too. But I usually try to focus on the match and not worry too much about all that stuff. Kind of like that tri-state feel where there's no rules. If anybody's ever been to that tournament, it's like no rules at all. And it's I mean, we do need rules, but it's fun to have a tournament where there aren't any.
It's more just a laid back, like, I'm not going to worry about people too close. I'm going to worry about good wrestling. Like when you go to the Jock Buchanan tournament in Clovis, I was sitting mat side, like Indian style on the ground, right by the mat, and like 5 rows of people touching the mat like that close. So I thought, well, shoot, let's they're doing it down here, and this is the biggest tournament on the West Coast. So
yeah, true. That's true. All right, let's go to our first segment here. I'll play this video real quick and we'll get started.
You're listening to the Real Ref Report. It's time now for On the Mat. On the Mat.
All right, speaking of on the mat, a long time ago, Chris Pratt made a documentary about Lake Stevens. I think it was called On the Mat. What's it like having a former wrestler be a superstar like Chris Pratt? That seems fun.
It is pretty fun. Chris is a great guy, and he has kept his like hometown roots, even though he's just a huge star. And it's been really. He talks to Coach Barnes periodically quite a bit. Like I had actually contacted Chris last year, or a couple years ago, Coach Barnes last year. And I said, hey, can you make me a video of just send him some well wishes? And she sure did. He sent me a couple different, he sent me a version that I shouldn't have showed on the screen, which I did. I said, hey, can you send me another one, kind of chill version? And he sent me another one, and we got to show it on the screen and got to honor Brent that way. So it was just really cool. He's been a donator of stuff for our wrestling club and stuff. Really, really generous. And actually, his cousins are both working in our program. We have one of his cousins is a high school coach, one's a club coach, and but it's fun to have conversations. Like kids will come up to me like sometimes, Chris Pratt went to your school? I'm like, yeah. What was he like? Oh, well, he was awesome, super smart, super hardworking, super great guy. And so yeah, it's a fun conversation starter with people. It's always been, you coached him? Was he in your class? So it's just cool. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, he also signed a thing for. I used to teach special ed. He even I had a girl who was in love with him and said his name 50 times a day, and he signed he signed something for her, and it made her and her mom's year. So just a cool guy all around. But okay, let's talk some wrestling referee stuff now, though.
Sure.
So just to start off, I'd always talk about referee mechanics, and we want to talk coaches, relationships, bringing them when you go to the table and stuff like that. So if you're sitting in your chair as a coach and you're watching a match, do you sit there and think sometimes, oh, this ref is good, or oh no, we are in trouble? And if so, what makes you think either one of those things?
I mean, you do. You're like, what's going to happen here? And sometimes you're like, okay, and you know what it really is? It's just literally the first thing is the look, right? Do they have are they like put together? Like literally, are the shirt tucked in?
Yeah.
What are they wearing? What are they choosing for their whole demeanor? Is their hair all a mess, or are they like focused and professional? Like that's a real thing. And it took me a long time to learn that at work. I got best dressed last year in the yearbook, and my daughter's like, what do you wear shorts and a baseball cap to work every day? I go, no, I had to change because my boss kept thinking I was a joke. So I had to I wear slacks and a button up every day now. Like I locked in. So it's an important thing. It's in every part of your life. So then I see like how they carry themselves, the confidence, and then you've been calling it mechanics, the way their gestures, and it gives you a real like, okay, we're in good hands here.
Yeah.
And it's a thing. I remember Timmy a couple podcasts ago said, kind of fake it till you make it. Like, but if your hand signals are locked in and they're confident,
Chris.
and it's different. It makes you feel at ease. It probably allows you to give the refs a little bit more freedom to make a mistake because they look so professional and they act so professional.
That's true. Yeah. If you look the part, sometimes this makes it more believable, even if you make a mistake. But definitely, I talk about that about training new refs. Like you got to stop flailing around so much and looking nervous and tippy-toeing your feet and just be more in control. And it's a hard thing. Like it's like parenting or something. You learn as you go, and it doesn't come right away. So it's definitely something that all of us are working on, and all of officials should work on. But just the look, how you give your signals, how you respond, how you talk. And I've talked about before also not reffing angry and yelling at the wrestlers, like telling them that they're, to wrestle in the center. Or you hear some refs who just are mad a lot. And if you listen to the college referees, because they have the microphones, it just sounds like they care about the wrestlers. Like, hey guys, let's wrestle center. Or, the tone is so important. And I think it just feels like they're on the wrestler's side and they care about the match, and not, oh, I'm against you and I'm looking for penalties to call on you.
You know what? That's such a big thing. What you said about the angry. Whenever I hear a referee who seems upset, I'm thinking to myself, okay. I just had a long talk with my wife about this. So my wife was a professional athlete for 20, 25 years, and she finished as high as third in the world championship. She's a professional water skier, and she was talking about these officials that she knew were very good. And she said, I just knew they cared about me. They wanted me to be safe, and they wanted me to perform at my highest level. She said one time she was at the junior world, trying to qualify for the junior world team. She's like 17, and she went around the buoy and she acted a certain way, like she let go. And they said, she's never done that. She's hurt. And what they're supposed to do is drive the water ski boat all the way to the end and get their time and then turn around and come get her. But they didn't. And this was like the biggest tournament in the world, to qualify for Worlds. They just spun the boat around and came and got her right away. She had broken her hip. And she knew that boat driver and that judge cared for her. And
Yeah.
she goes, those people still, I know. And when I hear a referee being mad, I'm like, you're in control. You're in charge of at the very minimum, a referee is in charge of the safety and like just the match getting done, right? At the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
A good is like that, of course, safe and those things, but also like really, really good with the rule book and knows exactly that's a good ref. A great ref, I would say, is the kids know or the contestants know that you care and that you want them to perform at their highest level. And if you're angry, I know that you're not going to do a good job that day. You're not, at least at this moment. That's so important. I totally agree.
It's true. Yeah. And I try to be positive and, you know, just the tone of talking. And I learned a lot from watching those college guys because, again, we can hear them. And we can hear coaches and you guys can hear us. So I think it's super important just to, like you said, have control of the match and to let the wrestlers know you care. Okay. Moving on, though. As a coach, when you bring a ref to the table, speaking of demeanor and like how they carry themselves and all of that, when you go to the table to question a call, what kinds of responses do you appreciate as a coach? And what kind of responses just, oh my gosh, that was frustrating?
I would like it if I was taken seriously, you know, but the less you go to the table, maybe the more seriously you're taken. I'd like it when the referee stops to consider, like, let me think about that. If they have a reasonable what they saw, they have a reasonable thing to say. Hey, here's how I saw it. I thought this. And I'm like, great. That's what you saw. And when I walk in there, I'll probably say, what I saw was this. What did you see? Yeah. And they tell me I saw it differently, and I'm done. Right? I'm okay. Great. If that's what you saw, then that's the right call. And I try to say, hey, yeah, that's the right call then. But if I'm not taken seriously, I'm coach,
sit down or
don't
something.
question my judgment, you know. And I'm like, hey, when they're defensive, it's just like dealing with anyone, you know, in your life outside of the sport. If someone starts to get defensive right away, it's like, okay, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah. And that's a part of, I think, Ref and Angry, where a lot of them are just like, sit down, not today, whatever it might be. And they just don't want to hear it. And really, I think good officials, like you said, they'll listen and think about it. And yes or no, at least acknowledge you. And a lot of times coaches just want to be heard. And, you know, and we acknowledge that the calls are difficult. And okay, maybe, but the way I saw it, I gave 3 there or whatever it might be. But just being cordial and not angry that you even would think about coming to the table and questioning my judgment. And I think a lot of referees hide behind that judgment word. Oh, it's judgment, when really our judgment sometimes could be wrong. So, and I feel like if we admit that, we just, you know, we'll get a lot farther with coaches and wrestlers.
Just creating just being humble enough to be a little bit transparent and like, just think, okay, is it possible that I messed that up? Man, that would be so refreshing. And there's people that do it, of course. I'm not sure this is the right time, but we were down in Dr. Buchanan and this tournament is killing us. We are just getting smashed. And I'm probably pretty frustrated. And one of our kids gets a takedown at the very end of a round. And I said, are you kidding me? That's a takedown or something like that. I kind of was just complaining.
Yeah.
Well, after the match is over, my kid lost, whatever. This referee comes over to me and I'm nobody. I'm the assistant coach of a team from another state that barely got invited here. And this dude, he comes up to me. He goes, hey, I heard at the end of the second round or first round, you said you didn't think that was a takedown. Can you tell me about that? What did you see that maybe I made a mistake? And I was just blown away. Like,
that's
wow,
awesome.
It was so impressive to me. And I said, oh, I was just frustrated with my own athlete that he had given up a takedown so close to the end of the round. And I was like, are you kidding me? And he goes, oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't disagree with my call. And I was like, man, this referee can handle criticism and wants to improve. And I was just like, I'd never seen a wash-in ref do that to me. So I was like, this guy, I was impressed. It's really vulnerable to do that.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with him. And I think that made me change. It changed my mentality about referees.
Yeah, I had a couple coaches come up, and I didn't go to them, but after yesterday, they came up and asked me, "Hey, what did you see there?" And it was just nice to be able to explain it afterwards. But I felt like they trusted me in the match and didn't argue during, and we just talked about it after on those close calls, and just kind of, sometimes you're going to get 50-50. 50% of refs would say one thing and others would say another. Speaking of Doc B, you have been to tournaments all over the country, and you've also had a Doc B champion. You've been to California, Idaho, Oregon, Nevada, the Clash. I mean, you've been all over the place. And so I've been on a few of those trips with you and noticed the officiating. Where would you, and it's a bit different everywhere, so where would you say you've noticed the best officiating, and why was it that way?
Oh, man. The best, I'm sure when you go to, I've been in California and I went to a tournament once. It was like, man, these are not very tough tournament. And then I go to California, we can't win a match at another tournament. We went to the Clash. It's a big state. The best referees is where the best wrestling is.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And that's Coach Barnes used to say, Andy, we can't have good referees without good wrestling. So if we want to have good refs around, our county, let's say, we better have some good wrestling, because they're gonna match each other's height, But we went back to Pennsylvania Final Four. We went to Virginia Duels, and I remember I don't really have a problem with anybody's call. Like one time Barnes had a problem. We were at this thing. I don't even know what it was called. It's a Final Four. It's this of wrestling, and Barnes gets up to like argue this referee. The referee just turns and goes, "Coach, sit down." That's apparently a rule kind of in Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania. Like, you don't stand up. If you're going to go to the table, stand up. Otherwise, you literally stay in your seat. And I'm like, yeah, we just sat down the rest of the time.
Yeah.
We're in Washington.
It's definitely different everywhere. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed when I went to Doc B with you guys that definitely the officiating was different and better. And we found out that they do sort of a ranking system down there, and the tournament director can pick the referees to make sure that he gets the good ones. Now, I say that because you guys starting to run a pretty high-level tournament here in Washington. I mean, it's nothing close to the Doc B, but in Washington, it's pretty good. And if we get some complaints about the officials, it doesn't go to the assigner or the officials. It goes to you as the tournament director from the coaches. And so the coaches talk to you, and then you have to talk to the assigner. So you told me earlier, you got some good feedback on that this year, and hopefully next year you're going to have a little bit of say in getting some referees. Is that true?
Well, hopefully the mug and the gift card.
Oh, you bribed somebody.
Helped a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, just creating a positive community. But I was a little concerned though. Like, for instance, what I told the Referees Association was I had a few conversations with the president and a few of the guys. Hey, we're inviting not just teams from our county. We're inviting teams from Spokane, a 5-hour drive, Vancouver, Washington. We're having all these best teams from the state come and converge on our little town here. We can't expect that the referees in our little association are going to be all the top referees in the state, right? So if we're inviting teams from Spokane and Moses Lake and all these other places, we probably want to invite a referee, from another location that's also the top one in their area, because the referee needs to match the wrestling height, Yeah. So they were positive, and they were like, okay, you know what? It was really great conversation. I was super pumped because we've been trying to get, hey, can we invite so-and-so? And can we invite this guy from this association? And they're like, no, we'll take care of it. And it kind of felt like I was ruffling their feathers. But this year, finally, it was, you know what? Give me a list of who you'd like to come, and you're going to have to pay some extra money for their travel. I'm like, hey, I'm willing to pay it. That's fine. We just want to make sure that this is the best tournament for everyone involved. The referees, the kids, the coaches, everyone. Like, you got Ording and you got these top-end kids. They should have a top-end official. They're wrestling, I saw 3-time state champ who became a 4-time state champ get beat at this tournament. And I'm like, we need to have good officials here. Like, these are tight matches. So it was really
Right.
positive thing. It was great.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that they're going to let you guys do that next year. That's good news. Now, speaking of referees and kind of a ranking thing, I'm for it, and I know some states do it, and I think our association up north is going to start actually giving coaches some questionnaires next year and trying to evaluate officials. Are you in favor of coaches being a part of some evaluation system? Because I think they've tried it here and there in years, and the coaches didn't participate, or it wasn't, they just did based on their emotions. But I think now, if we really encourage people to do it and do it with fidelity, is that something that you would like to have happen? Because we officials will evaluate each other, and a lot of times we're friends with each other, and so it's hard to get always great feedback and for your friend to tell you, hey, you need to do this and this. And so I feel like if we got some feedback from coaches who are our clients, really, we're working for you. You guys are paying us to give us some feedback on some things. Is that something that you think would be helpful and something that you would want to do?
When I was younger, I would say no, but I was so wrapped up in everything, I couldn't even think straight. Like I'd be this corner of a tournament or a duel, and I'd be just losing my mind trying to scream instructions to some kid. But now that I'm a little older, I think so. I guess I trust myself more now. But yeah, I would like to be able to. I can't like explain good officiating to you necessarily, but I know it when I see it. So if I could just rank people from top to bottom, even I don't know how it's tough. The questionnaire, I was listening to your last episode. It's hard to define good refereeing, right? It's hard to say you're a 42 and you're a 45, but I do have certain people that I think do better than others.
Right.
I could definitely do it like my favorite rep I want to see walk in the door, and my next favorite rep, and a top 10, bottom 10. I could probably do that if there was a picture next to it. I know who they were, I think coaches could do a decent job.
Yeah, I do too. I think that would be helpful for everybody. And obviously there's going to be differences in opinions from different people. And they used to do a sort of a ranking system like that at state where they would rank the top 20 guys, and then those guys would get to do the finals, and it would just be basically numbers by their name of what rank you thought they were. So I think it would help. I think it would help us get better. If there's none of that going on, it's kind of, nobody has any incentive. So I think it's something that our association is going to do and would be certainly very helpful.
I mean, I don't like getting rated either. Like by my principal comes to my room and tells me how good of a teacher I am. Like, am I a 3 or am I a 4? But you know what? It actually makes me better.
It does.
No one wants to hear that, but it's the reality is you don't grow unless you have a little bit of a reflection and stuff. So I think so. I think that ranking system could really help. And the more you do it, the more people are going to be open to it and not feel like they're getting attacked, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it would build the community and not to do it as you suck or, this guy needs to be out of here. But we all want to get better and we don't want to get anybody fired. We just want to help everybody improve to get the right outcome on the mat for the kids. Okay. Next, we're going to do a little segment to tell some funny stories. So here we go.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Oh, come on, man.
Now, here's Come On, Man.
All right, we got to start with this one. It's something that I heard you tell me a long time ago, but as a coach and as a referee, this is just you got to tell me this story about the kid who gave up in the state quarterfinals after getting second place the year before.
Oh, isn't that a very fun? It's funny right now. What year is it? It's 20 years later. It's pretty funny, but the day it was, we had this kid who he took third as a sophomore, and he took, which is fantastic. I was just, sophomore taking third. It's great. And then he gets to the finals as a junior, and he was always kind of a hard knock kid and just really edgy. But if you took third and then second, you're taking first the next year, right? That's just the thing. And so he's in the quarters and he's up 10-5. And this kid from Auburn, I remember his green singlet, he's got a great headlock. So it has been a tough year, like making weight and just all the stuff that a wrestling season can bring on. And we're really high pressure. We've won state maybe the year before, and so we're really pushing and gunning, and we're pretty intense coaches at the time. And he gets thrown to his back, and it's 10. Now it's 10-10. I mean, we're still fine. He scored 10 points on a kid, for crying out loud. You could win the match. But he looks over at us, and as a final act of defiance, he just goes, "I quit." And he puts his back on the ground like this and just gets hit. And now it was we're trying to win the tournament, And I would just look at the score. If he wins the state tournament, we are in second for sure, right? And but we took 8th place, and we went down 6 places because then he loses his next match. And oh my word, it was so emotional and so difficult. And the coaching staff was so upset. And then it's just like this. I don't know. It almost feels like you feel like it's your fault because this kid quit. And what did I do to, create this? But I'm also so angry. Yeah. And the good news about this whole thing is I saw this gentleman this year and his daughter's wrestling at our girls tournament that we ran. And he up and talked to me, and we hugged it. We hugged it out, and not even a worry, not a mention of it. Just how you doing? I was like, oh, you got a daughter. Where should go to school? And it was, it's amazing the highs and lows that you could do out there on the mat and in life. And it was just cool that we were still fine. We're still great.
Yeah, coaching is hard. You go through those highs and lows, but when you have those moments down the road, it makes it all worth it. Just like teaching. Another one. So you've won all these state titles, but it hasn't always been roses for you. You started off actually your first year at a different school, and tell us how many points you guys scored that year.
Oh, good. My highlight reel. Okay, well, here's that intro you gave me a little bit ago. Now we're getting to the real. And so I was coaching at a local school here, a 2A school, and I was psycho. I was like 23 years old, and I was like so pumped up, and I was just nuts. But I was working my tail off and tried everything as hard as I could. And I was 24. My assistant was 22. There was no wisdom in this room at all, ever. There was just passion and hard work and guts. But we get, 5 guys to the state tournament, and we went 1-9. No, 1-10. We ended up losing the second one later. So my kid, the only kid that wins, is one match in the back door. The next match, he basically just punches a kid right in the face. Just wham. Out of anger, totally wrong. He gets flagrant misconduct out of the tournament. Well, I don't know if you know the rules, but
you lose a point and
you lose all your points plus one more point. And he's the only scoring wrestler on the team. So I go over to the list, and it's like Washington 2A, who's up top ordering or something. And I go down to the bottom, 64th place, -1 point. And it was just the most disheartening situation at state, but it got worse from there, because when I got to the hotel that night, this is Friday night, of course we're done, right? No one's in the tournament, and my kids get someone to buy them alcohol, and oh my gosh, they were drinking at the hotel. I had to send everybody home. I called the superintendent. Here's what's going on. By the way, I was not coaching there the next season. Just clear.
Oh, you went to like Stevens, which was a big upgrade.
Oh, so lucky that I ended up where I am now.
All right, one more that I remember. This is a funny, like as a referee, I would probably not want to say this to a wrestler, because we just talked about you caring about the wrestler and wanting them to know that you are for them and having a tone. But you had a kid who was quite the scrambler. He was a state champion and was at a big high level tournament and was scrambling. And what happened with him and the referee?
So we go to there's a Doc Buchanan tournament, and we take a kid down there that's a 2-time state champion, and they seed the guy 11th, and I'm like, we hadn't really been there, so I didn't really know how tough the tournament was, and we're kind of ticked off, like 11th. We're crying out loud. The kids won state 2 times. So in the quarterfinal, he is wrestling this kid Olivas from Clovis, and this kid ended up going to Fresno State, went in the program, and so they're flip flopping around, and we end up not getting the takedown or whatever. And our kid is a little cocky little kid, and he says to the referee, "Yeah, it's called scrambling," like because he thought he should get this takedown, and the referee just says, "Yeah, and you're not very good at it."
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, you probably shouldn't say it, but it was the right kid and the right tournament, the right time.
Yeah.
And I gotta hand it to that coach there. I can't remember his name right now. He went to Illinois, I think, but he nailed it. We seeded 11th, and we lost in the blood round, which is 9, 10, 11, 12, perfectly seeded.
Yeah.
Oh man, they did a good job. But that ref was funny.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a referee out there, I mean, I guess you can pick your moments, but if a kid, it's a funny story, but probably not the best way to respond to a high school kid. But it's the all right.
Although Noah probably deserved it.
Yeah, true. Okay, one more. You said you got a kid who's funny on your team this year, and he was wrestling at districts, and what happened there?
Oh shoot, we have like our favorite kid. He is the team mascot. Everyone loves him.
My son loves him too.
Oh, I'm sure he does. He's not an accomplished wrestler, but if you go to the district tournament, if he's on the mat, there are more people watching him than anyone on the team. They're all surrounding the mat, and he's our second string kid, and he's just barely started wrestling 3 years ago. But he's so kind. He's in the back door, and he's about to win his match to go, like I think in the Consi semi or something. But he knows the other kid is going to lose and be out of the tournament. So he I think he headlocks him, and as he's pulling into his back, he just goes, "I'm sorry, dude," because he's about to beat him. He's about to pin him, and he's apologizing. "I'm sorry, dude." And it was just, he's so sweet and so nice, but I gotta win, man. I'm sorry, we can't both win this one.
That's awesome. That happens a lot, actually. When I'm officiating girls' matches, a girl will have her in a headlock, and she's squeezing the life out of her. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And
yeah, I'll bet.
I'm just like, "Wow, you're squeezing her. She's not okay." But it's just funny the things that happen out there. All right, we're gonna move on.
Imagine.
We're gonna move on to my next segment, and this one's called "Ref, You Suck."
The Real Ref Report.
Oh no! We suck again!
Now it's time for
You suck, ref!
Ref, You Suck.
Okay, now we're not here to bash referees, but we're here to get better. I'm a referee. I do things that suck sometimes, so we want to get that out there, that this is just for fun. But we are going to talk about calls that we've had to deal with, especially since you've been to the state tournament so many times and I coached with you guys. I've got some etched in my memory that were just like, man, that was a killer. And I got to tell people too that this is not the Lake Stevens way to blame the refs. And I know this because my son goes to Lake Stevens. He's a sophomore. And he had a match this year where the ref definitely messed up, and I'm watching, and he gets a kid in near fall criteria, should have got 3 takedown and 3 near fall, and then a reversal for the other kid, and ended up getting nothing, and the other kid got a takedown. So I was telling my son, trying to encourage him, "Hey, you should have won that match. The refs kind of messed up on that." And he's like, "Coach Derek says never blame the refs." So I was like, "Oh, you got me there." But I am a ref, and I'm kind of blaming the ref here. It was my son. I'm a little biased, but just so people know that this is not the Lake Stevens way, but we're just doing this for the sake of having a little fun here. So also, when I was the coaching with you guys, I was the one that was always on the referees, and so you guys kind of used me as your pit bull. hey, go get, go get that, go ask him something. And I was, well, I'll go talk to him for sure. So I was that guy, even though I'm the official now. So it's funny now you guys hardly ever say anything, and people notice that. I've had a lot of officials tell me, those Lake Stevens guys, do they even coach? And I'm like, oh yeah, in practice they do. So
we told the kids at state this weekend, like, hey, I know we're coming up on state. We can't be in every corner. We got 36 matches going on. We got 5 coaches, so we don't really do anything in the corner anyway. You're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. You're ready. So yeah. What do we really do in the corner?
Yeah, so we're going to give some examples here and some officials tips, referee tips that I've learned along the way. So one Lake kid comes to mind 2 years in a row, and really good kid, made it to the finals one year, but 2 years in a row was in the semis. And I think a lot of referees, they officiate based on the score. You must be stalling because you're ahead type deal, even though the other guy is not doing anything to earn a stall call. And we had a kid who was up by 1 in the semis, and basically kind of an over-under situation. They were kind of both locked up, if I remember right, but doing the same exact thing for both guys. And he gets nailed for stalling at the end to send it to overtime. And, a lot of times when that happens, the kid's just so deflated, and he ended up losing in overtime. So have you felt that, like, a lot of times where a referee will officiate, oh, this guy's ahead, so he must be stalling, boom, 1 point, overtime?
Actually, unfortunately, I mean, it probably has happened 100 times at state, and it wasn't bad, but there are a couple that, that are, that we think they are. And I for sure feel like, hey, if you scored a takedown in the first, second round, you've scored more points than this guy. I don't have to score any more points. I'm not avoiding wrestling. We're still tied up. I'm not backing off the mat. I'm not talking about those situations. He's in the circle. He's fighting. Maybe he's got a 2-on-1. Maybe he's got an underhook, but he's not, just because he's not shooting. Like, go ahead and come to me. I'm ahead, But what usually feels like it seems to happen is, oh, well, you must be stalling then just because you're ahead. And yeah, those I remember the matches you're talking about. Those were very difficult to deal with because we had been the aggressor and we had scored the points, and we weren't just backing away. We weren't blocking. The other person wasn't shooting over and over, and we were just backing away, So I do feel like the guy ahead should be given the advantage, but oftentimes he's not. It's just the opposite.
Yeah, and he's kind of, a lot of people don't agree, but I don't feel like as a wrestler and as a coach, you should shoot, right? I can think of an example. Johnny Gilbertson, coach at Arlington, he did that when he was ahead. He shot in and held on to the leg, got into what should have been a stalemate position, but because he was ahead, stalling, and so those kind of things, like what should,
that's just smart wrestling to me. That's just using, that's a good idea.
But what can you, in that situation, what can you do? Shooting doesn't work, not shooting doesn't work. And I feel like as referees, we got to be better and just understand, hey, it's not actually smart for him to shoot. He as long as he's not blatantly backing up, we should not be sending matches to overtime. Especially, we're going to talk about another one here in a minute, but the same kid, another one where I talked about this last week with By the Book Bob Turner, lots of cautions when a referee does that. And he was up by 1, I believe, and he got his 3rd caution in the 3rd round in the semis. And so that tied the match. And so he ended up deciding to cut the kid to go down by 1 and couldn't score. And I just feel like state tournament, these kids are good. Like, if it's a ticky-tack caution, let's just start the match. So you watch college and they just start the match. You don't really see that too often. So as a coach, when you start seeing all these cautions, I was coaching, it just made my stomach drop, and I'm like, oh, what are we gonna do here?
Oh man, I was watching your episode for last week, and great guy, giving his life to the wrestling. Just awesome. So many things he's done, sacrificed time and energy, and he knows the rule book. But I could not disagree more with his thought process about this. I finally got the Big Ten Network, and I've been watching a lot of wrestling lately. And I'm even seeing a Big Ten ref. I'm talking the 2 of the best kids in the country and he'll point, hey, move your toe. Like, so he puts his toe in the line and then he starts it.
Yeah.
And or I'll watch him walk back in the middle and their toe isn't really on the line.
Yeah.
And he starts it. Or he'll say, okay, when you're on top, make a pause before you start. And the guy will touch the elbow and boom. If it's a false start, they stop it. But if it's just, where's my hand a little bit, or is my chin exactly in the middle, or is my hand exactly on their belly button, man, it just, that's what I think we were talking about before. That great official wants you to be your best, wants you to be absolutely wrestling at your top, especially at the state tournament. And if I just walked from my coach and I'm turning, I'm going back to the middle, and he said, okay, chop on the whistle. Okay. Yeah. Caution. What? And it stops my thought process. It stops the match. Even if it doesn't take very long, it's still a pause, and it's still making me less my best. I think I can't support it. I don't think it's good for kids, and wrestling's for kids. I just can't support it.
Yeah, I've listened to other referee podcasts and just trainings, and just, it's the spirit of the rule is obviously we have to have a starting position. We have to have some sort of guideline, but the spirit of the rule is not to gain an advantage. And, really almost every time that kid's knee on his backside is on the butt, but we don't go back there and check it. Right. So there's things that, if they're blatantly over the top or just something super blatant, I'll give them a caution. But, what I've heard and what I think is best practice is just blow the whistle, because we don't want to send a match to overtime because of a caution. Because if there is a blatant one that you have to call, in what if it is, a double overtime or something, that's awful. And so I think we should just stay out of that as much as we can. And if it's close, just tweet, blow the whistle. I mean, you look at freestyle and they don't even put their foot on the line. They just okay, right. You're around the area. Let's go. So yeah, that's, as a coach, it's just difficult to see that kind of stuff kind of have an effect on a match. We're going to talk about one more here. It happened at the state tournament. I got the video, but it's not good quality, so I can't show it. But just so everybody knows the scenario, we want to talk about this just because we have a referee shortage, and we actually know a referee that quit reffing because of this. His association, they all agreed with him, and they thought it was a good thing that he did this. And what the scenario is, the kid it's in 2015. He got 2 takedowns in the first round. And between those 2 takedowns, the ref gave a double stall call. So after the first round, it's 4-1 or 4-2. I believe 4-1 maybe. And so the second round, he gets 2 more takedowns. So he's ahead 8-3 and finishes the round on top. So he's worked and scored 4 takedowns in the match. He is on bottom in the third round. And at this point, it's 1 stall call apiece. And at the 134 mark, he gets a stall call on bottom that I believe was actually warranted. He was laying on his belly and not trying to get up, and the kid was on top, like cross-facing or whatever. So he's got 2 stall calls now, one point. At the 105 mark, 30 seconds later, he gets stall call number 3. He was on his belly, but the top guy was laying parallel. So if I'm a referee, I'm not going to call the bottom guy or the top guy until they stop for a really long time. I mean, 5 to 10 seconds. But in that case, top guy shouldn't be laying parallel either. So
yeah, I'm watching the video today though, and he's like, the bottom guy's on his elbows trying to get up. Yeah. His chest is off the mat. It's not like he's flat. Yeah, he's working, trying to move.
He was, and then he so he gets another stall call there. Then it's 105 left. He got his third one. It's 8-5 with 55 seconds left. He stands up and gets to his feet, and they go out of bounds. So then they start again. 35.
The ref talks to him on the way back. The ref talks to him on the way back in.
Yeah. So with 35 seconds left, he stands up again. The top guy has 1 leg in, not attempting to return him, and they go out of bounds again. They restart with 31 seconds left. He tries to stand, but gets broken down with a legit crossface. He gets back to his base, and another 2-point stall call with 17 seconds left. Now, at this point, the referee is supposed to stop the match, because the 2-point stall call, you give choice to the other guy, which If the coach should have argued anything at the end, he should have said, "Hey, that's all bad time." Right? And so,
but you're in at state quarter semi. You're not thinking this. You're like, oh my gosh, let's go. You know,
yeah,
you can't think straight.
So he should have stopped the match, and he could have actually won a protest there if he would have said, "Hey, that fourth stall call, you did not stop the match," and give the other guy choice. So that's one problem. So that's 17 seconds to go, and he's gotten his fourth stall call, and he's been working pretty good on bottom. Gotten to his feet twice. So he's ahead 8-7 after getting 4 takedowns. Then the referee does not stop the match. And then with 1 second on the clock, he waves his arms and gives the last death stall call, and looks pretty proud of himself, to be honest. Like, it's just a sad situation. And like you said, we had a referee who was talking about it, and the referees are patting him on the back saying how great it was, and he quit because of it. And I know other referees who have left because of this type of stuff. And so what do you, I mean, if I watched, I just felt bad for the kid watching it. I couldn't believe it happened. You said you watched it as well, right?
Oh man. And I know the referees work super hard, and they're necessary for this, but they don't work as hard as this kid. You know, 2 hours a day getting beat up for who knows how many years. And this kid goes out there and he is actually trying. Like, the kid on top is just better on top, and he can't get away. And this is another situation, like you said before, if you're ahead, you must be stalling. It kind of a feel to it. And the coach came up to me, and he was absolutely crushed. And I just felt so terribly. And he's crushed because he loves this young man, you know. And I was so infuriated, and I watched it again today, and it was even worse than I thought. So my friend, who was a former coach, Hall of Fame guy, his sons are like college wrestlers, Division I. He says, I'm gonna ref now. And I said, wow, that's really good of you. You know, that's pretty cool. And he's out there reffing. He's in the state tournament after a couple, 3-4 years, because he's a really good referee, really good wrestling mind. And he says, yeah, we're going to go. And they said, yeah, we're going to show that video about that match. And he's like, sweet, we're going to finally like get this straightened out. Like, they're going to like come to their senses and they're going to talk about it. They said, this is exactly what should have happened.
Unreal.
And he was like, I can't be around this mentality. I can't support it. And I just can't referee anymore if this is how these guys are going to approach. So it was really sad. And I don't know, I guess in any organization, you know, people that the organization protects itself, you know, and they don't want to be wrong. And I just think that, you know, when kids are the casualties in these things, and egos of older men like you and me are ruining chances for kids. I mean, the wrestling's for kids.
Yeah.
It's not for coaches. It's not, they don't say, and now wrestling for Andy. Yeah. It's Jesse. They just say now wrestling for like Stevens, it's Jesse, you know? So I just really frustrates me.
It is hard. We got a comment from a listener here. It says, year after year, it seems matches are ref differently at the state tournament. And as a coach, wrestler, and now as an official, I'm going to be there this year. I have to agree. Like, I feel like their evaluation system, they were giving them like smiley faces and kudos the more cautions and stalling calls that they gave. And so I felt different to me too. And I think a lot of people feel that. And as a referee, I see it. So I'm going to be honest here and say it definitely has been. And this match proves it. I mean, 4 stall calls on bottom in 1 round is just sad. And he wasn't like, he got to his feet 2 times and had 4 takedowns, and just a raw deal.
Super difficult and super tough. I don't even know what to say. It was really sad.
Yeah. And those are, you can't say anything like, but if you are a coach, and I mean, hopefully this situation never happens to you, but you're not going to be able to argue a judgment call like stalling, unfortunately. But if you know the rules, and this referee did mess up where he did not stop the match on that 4th stall call, you could get bad time there and go back to 17 seconds. And then the kid probably would have picked top, but you just tell your kid, hey, go buck wild right here. And I don't know.
Get away or try.
Yeah. I mean, it was nuts, but that's, yeah. So just if you're an official, let's not make ourselves part of the match. Let's, call stalling when you see stalling, but let's be sensible about it. I mean, 2 stallings in a minute is probably plenty, if that. I mean, I feel like if a kid has scored 4 takedowns in the match, he's been the aggressor the whole time, and a kid that's on top just kind of cross-facing and bouncing around is not deserving to win a match. So just a little tidbit, my 2 cents. Maybe you don't agree, maybe you do, but I think the most of the wrestling community, coaches, wrestlers, and officials would agree that 4 stall calls in 1 round is a little excessive. All right, we're going to keep going with the state tournament. Since again, you've been there a million times. That's your second address at Tacoma Dome. You have like did you buy an Airbnb over there and just rent it out the rest of the year?
It's funny because I was thinking, what have I done in the last 39 years since my freshman year of high school? I have never missed the state tournament. I don't think there's anything I've done 39 years in a row except for that.
Yeah. So 3 days.
League, regionals, and state.
Yeah, you basically spent a year there of your life. So
I love the state tournament.
Yeah, it's awesome. This year we're going to see how it's a little different, but 32-man brackets and different setup. But all right, now we're going to go to a couple things that happened at the state tournament. This segment's called What's the Call?
This is the Real Ref Report. Now, what's the call? What's the call?
All right, so this is heartbreaking for you, but this is just to educate reffing community, wrestler community, coaching community. We're going to talk about the call. We're going to talk about what you could have said to the ref to maybe change his mind. So let's take a look here. I'm going to play this right here, share my screen. If you're just watching, just listening and not watching, this is a scramble situation where the referee gives a 2-point takedown a little early in overtime match of a 3rd and 4th at state. So here's the video. Should be able to see it there. I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and let's take a look.
Basically, our wrestler has a single leg with his head inside. This kid kind of
gets him on the hip.
Locks, yeah, and he rolls across his back for a second, step over. And now my kid still has a single leg, and then they roll right back to their knees again.
Yeah. So obviously I see you over here coming to the table. The referee comes over and he's like, oh, it was 2. And do you remember kind of what you said there? I'm going to play it one more time.
I think basically what I was pleading was, are we going to let that action continue? And because the momentary pause in his back, within half of a second, they're back to a single leg situation with the guy sprawled out on top. So 1001, maybe. It was very quick, and here we are in the same exact position, head single leg, head on back underneath him.
Yeah.
But they award this takedown. Nothing's really changed.
Right.
So, and I could just tell he said, Coach, I in my judgment, that was 2. And as soon as I hear him say in my judgment, I just know, well, we're 4th in state. We're not 3rd then, because there's no way this is going to change.
So as a referee, let me give some tips here to you as a coach and to everybody out there. So if I was you in this situation, the question I would ask at first is, do you believe that he had control beyond reaction time? After seeing the whole situation play out there, after what happened, do you think he had control beyond reaction time? And if he says yes, there's nothing you can say about that, because what is reaction time, right? That is judgment. But if he says, and then if he says yes, you could say, okay, at what point did he have control? When did he have position of advantage and restraining power? And so those are 2 words that you need to use. Like, did he have position of advantage and restraining power? Yeah, write it down.
I can write this down. Advantage, restraining power.
So you need those 2 things for control. And I think if you ask him those questions, he probably would not have been able to answer it, and maybe thought about it a little more. I'm not saying he would have changed his call. I would have. I waved off a couple calls yesterday at districts on my own. Sometimes we give the 2 early, and you want to get the call right. Like if it's 2, you want to give 2. Now it's 3, but in this tournament it's 2. So you want to get it right and you want to call it when it's there, but sometimes we give it too early. And I waved off a couple. Coach came over and I said, hey, I gave it too early. I made a mistake there. They were scrambling. It wasn't there. And they had all agreed with me. I think they all knew it. So as a coach for you, just again, in that situation, hey, do you really feel after seeing the whole situation that he had control beyond reaction time? And hopefully he would say no and change his call there, because it's a state final and overtime, or not final, but third, fourth. But again, if he says yes, say, please tell me when he had restraining power and position of advantage. So, I mean,
it's interesting that I as a coach, I really appreciate when they talk to the other guy and they go, nope, we decided it wasn't, and I'm like, okay, two guys getting together, saw two different, they saw it from different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
We had this conversation the other day. We're watching Minnesota. I don't know, Big Ten. I can't remember who they're wrestling, but
Iowa.
The ref calls. The ref calls takedown, and then immediately he wasn't 100% sure, so he talks to his assistant. What do you see there?
And live wrestling.
And, and he must have said no, and he goes, "No takedown, could keep wrestling, right?"
Still
and
neutral.
It was
still
awesome.
Neutral. Yeah, he said still neutral.
Yeah,
no takedown, and but unfortunately in the third, fourth match, they don't have two officials. They should. But they don't. They have them in this. They have two in the semis and two in the finals. But when they get to the placing rounds, and maybe this year we will. We have more officials this year, so that's possible. During the placing matches, we have two officials per match. I think we might. So don't quote me on that. But there's only four. There's only going to be 4 finals matches going on with 36 officials. So we should be good. Okay, that was a heartbreaker, but we're over it. You're over it.
That hurt. Yeah.
You're not. Are you okay now? I mean, you've had enough.
Let's make it worse.
It's just a fourth instead of a third out of your 100 placings, and I mean, but just so we can all learn as a coach, those are the things you should say. Now, another one. I just found the video, so we're going to talk about a kid you had a couple years ago who was in state finals match, and you didn't get the call you wanted, and the situation is he had the kid almost in a takedown for about 30 seconds or so, and then I'll show the video. With 1 second left, he pops his head out. So we're going to talk about that after we watch it here. Cheers.
Yeah, so here's Jacob finally pops his head out there.
Yep. So he
and
pops
the tap. Yeah.
back here. He's in situation.
Got the guy in his butt, got our head in his belly button. Basically, we have both legs. And then right before the end, we pop her head out the far side.
Boom. So towel tapper just hit him and his head's out. Now, that's a tough call. The official doesn't really know when time ran out, and he doesn't know exactly. And we have to depend on a towel tapper here. And you guys come over to the table, and obviously you're going to fight for your guy. He goes over and he does do the right thing there, and he asks his other official. A guy says no. He says no takedown. And, of course, you guys lose the challenge. Now, we're going to talk about what maybe you guys could have said in this situation and referee mechanics, because I think the referee was kind of out of position here. So
what do you think? I was kind of proud of myself. I was talking to the official, who I love.
Yeah, great guy. We had him on. That's Timmy. We had him on.
Yeah, I love him. I love Timmy. So I said, "Here, what did you see?" Because what I saw was he's on his butt. We have both his legs. Our heads on one side. Our feet are on the other. Is that what you saw?
Right here. Let's take a look. Here's a picture of it. So we got 1 second on the clock, bottom yellow, heads out, and the picture in the rule book right here. Takedown, right?
This is a takedown.
So
yeah,
now,
so
you could say reaction time, but this takedown in the rule book says beyond reaction time. This takedown does not. So I feel like if you're already on your butt and then you pop your head out, it should be 2 in that case, or now it would be 3, but this year it was 2. So also, one thing I want to talk about, this official over here, I mean, he's a great official too, but what we want actually is for him to be in a position where he can see the clock and the wrestling at the same time, so that we're not asking a 15-year-old district placer to decide on whether it happened in time. So this official, the best position would be to move and see the clock and the action at the same time. But that's heartbreaking, like to see it and then to know that maybe. And on the next note, how do you feel about video review coming to our state tournament sometime in the future?
Well, I mean, like this one sure makes me feel like it's could be really helpful. I mean, I blame myself. I didn't know the rule. Like, hey, if my head's out and I got him on his butt, it's a takedown. Then I didn't know the exact picture that you're showing. I don't have that in my head, right? So, I mean, it's partially my fault for not having a good grasp of the rules. But if we had video review, I think that probably would have been overturned. We're just going to go to overtime now. Might lose the next takedown anyway, but. It sure felt at the time really tough because I really was certain that we had to take down. It would be nice to have it. I'm not sure if we could do it like you get 2 a day or 3 for the tournament or whatever, but man, it sure seems like it could be a useful thing for that.
Yeah, and in that case, a coach's tip from a referee. If I was the coach, what you would probably want to ask him is, "Hey, did he pop his head out before time ran out?" And have him answer that question. And if he says yes, but reaction time, right? I mean, you can't argue reaction time. But in that situation, when he's already on his butt, you have those 2 pictures in the rule book. So if you were to do like an actual protest and have that rule book with you, so after 35 years, you need to start studying that thing, Andy.
That's probably true.
You might,
it is frustrating.
But so I think if he says, yes, he had his head out, and you have those 2 pictures, one requiring reaction time and one not, hey, that's 2, right? And, if he, I don't know what they would have said after that. And I don't see them change their calls much. But speaking about the video review, I've been to tournaments at RMN and Timmy's been to tournaments with video review, and it is amazing. We have the technology. They have the computers right there, and it takes way less time than any protests ever do. You have a committee, a guy comes over, he looks at it, and it takes less than 2 minutes. And there's 2 guys that decide, and the referee on the mat does not look at it or decide. And so I feel like if 2 guys were over there and they watch this video, they see his head pop out, 1 second on the clock, boom, takedown, we're going to overtime. And that doesn't take, I mean, you guys stood there and had a protest for who knows how long and got denied. But there's nothing you can do really without video because the official already has his thoughts. But I'm hoping that we do get video review because I've used it. It's awesome, and we have the technology at high school. They're filming already. Track wrestling has the ability to just go look at the video.
Sure.
And rather than having these protest committees, we had 11 protests last year at the state tournament, and they take.
I remember that took for a long time. Like I remember thinking, Matt. So-and-so come to mat 5, it's something to mat 20. And I'm like, holy cow, it's over and over. You're right. If we have 11 protests, they must have taken 10 minutes each easy.
Right. So if you had a couple video reviews in your pocket, you have a couple to use, or a lot of times a referee could, like Timmy, he probably would have said, hey, I want to go to review on that. And it's the end of a state finals match. Why not? The college guys.
Yeah.
The college guys do that without referees asking them to do it. Without coaches asking them. So in that case, that should have been reviewed whether you had a brick or not. It's deciding a state finals match. And again, it takes 2 minutes or less. You have 2 guys come over, and those protests, like I said, they take 10 minutes and they delay. And I just feel like we need to get this because we have the technology. Tournaments are doing it. It works fantastic. And everybody's happy. Like, coach, do you want a video review? Nope. Okay, let's move on. Or if you do, then let's look at it. And because as a referee, I want to get it right. Like if that was me if that was me in a state final match, do you think I don't want to find out later on that I messed it up and cost a kid overtime, and right. Even if I'm one of the best officials, he might be the best official in our state. He's doing college now. He's awesome. But when you have a towel tapper who's 16 years old, we don't know exactly when that happened. So if we could just go to that video and say, yep, takedown, or nope, everybody's happy. Nobody thinks he's a terrible ref. That's a tough call, right? And so we all know that it's a tough call. And I just feel like it would help with relationships if we had video review. You can say, do you want a video review? You can say yes, you can say no. And if you say no, it's not worth it to you, we're all happy, right? You're not mad. And
yeah,
I just think we need to add it. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think if it can be done quickly, shoot. I mean, you can't be unlimited, but if you could have a couple of tournament for the state tournament, then based on maybe how many kids you have there, you get 10 kids here, you get 4 video reviews, and
yeah, especially in the finals, a referee can decide to do it himself. I just think we should get the call correct because it's a big deal. These kids work so hard; it's their only opportunity. I mean, how many times are you gonna make the state finals? Most kids never.
Well, then next year that kid didn't make the state finals at the end of the third, fourth match, so that was his only chance, right, of his whole life. To all that hard work wrestling since you're a first grader, and then we just didn't get it right, and so sad. So sad.
Yeah, that's tough. But he's wrestling in college now. Great kid. He wrestled for me in middle school, and it doesn't even seem it bothers us more than it does him. Like
I'm sure he hasn't thought about it at all.
Yeah, he's the coolest kid ever, and like, oh, whatever, it's no big deal. I wish I could be like that.
During that protest, though, we did have a chance to have someone yell at me from the stands. Why don't you just shut up, Lake Stevens? And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. People hate Lake Stevens, but I got to give you guys a shout out. People think Lake Stevens is down before we leave here and wrap it up. People think Lake Stevens is down, but you guys got what, 4th or 6th last year in state. Your down years are top 10 every year. And this year, you guys had maybe one returning placer and not ranked.
One 8th place guy, yeah.
No, an 8th place returner, not ranked in the top 20 in nobody's radar. But the fine gentlemen at the Washington Wrestling Network have ranked you guys up 9 spots to the 10th spot on the list. So,
when were those last rankings out? Because I must have done a heck of a coaching job the last couple of weeks to get 9 spots, man.
Well, they don't know where you guys are because you guys go to Montana, Oregon, Idaho, and they're like, oh, who's this kid? And who's this kid? And so now they're like, oh, you guys just beat Arlington in a dual and at districts, and now you're top 10. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys do. Just want to say thank you for being on here with me. I really appreciate it. And good luck to you guys at the state tournament. And I appreciate you've helped me get where I'm at. I'm a teacher because of you. I was a coach because of you at Lake Stevens, and now I'm probably an official because of you. So you've had a far-reaching net. As far, not everybody hates Lake Stevens. Maybe if just
one guy, man. Well, thank you. That was high praise.
Yeah. So
that's very kind.
If you see any officials out there, now you got some tips to kind of interact with them, but you guys always do a good job anyway. But
I got a new plan for the state tournament. I didn't tell you.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Everyone shakes hands after the match. This is a shake hand contest. I'm gonna try every time to shake the referee's hand after the match this year at state. I'll see. I just want to say, hey, good job or thank you, because I haven't really put myself in your shoes as an official until you asked me to do this thing. So I was like, what? It's just a really thankless job. At a best referee is like this best civil servant ever. Like you're unnoticed, you're behind the scenes, and you're just making sure everything is perfect. And that's like a super humbling, with no ego. And if you do really, really good, if you're great at it, no one even knows your name, that you're even there. And it's very commendable choice and profession. And I just want to make sure that the refs know that it's a big deal to be that humble and to stay out of the forefront. We want the kids to be the heroes. But man, I'm going to try to be much more thankful and grateful this year. Hopefully I can makes people feel like they're important.
Don't be slipping any of them any gift cards, though. That's probably no. But we are here to build the community and to just for coaches to understand, that these are difficult calls, and we got to make a call either way. And a lot of times it's right in the moment. And just for referees to understand that you guys are there to fight for your guys and to not get upset when you guys do. I think a lot of officials, they get upset when a coach comes to the table, or they get upset when a coach says something from the corner, and it's just out of competition, right? And we got to understand as an official, this guy should be fighting for his guy, and I need to just let it roll and not even acknowledge you if you're in the corner, unless it's a yes or no, real quick answer. I will, hey, did you get near fall there? No, I only got one count. Real quick answer from the corner. But but just so we can understand each other and that we can be one big community and not like I said, I've said before that somebody said I joined the dark side, and I don't want it to be the dark side. I still like you guys, so I don't want to be, on the dark side. Oh, somebody says $100 stall. No, I'm not paying anybody for a stall call, right? He says, just kidding. All right. Well, thanks again,
for having me, buddy.
I appreciate you. Take care.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening and keeping it real with the Real Ref Report. Don't forget to rate the show and leave us a review. And be sure to follow Andy on Instagram and YouTube at The Real Ref Report. Thanks again for listening as we make reffing great again.